from coal. Without coal, we wouldn't be able to keep the lights on in our homes and offices or meet the increasing demand for electricity. Nationally, the consequences of a ban on additional coal plants are damaging and predictable. Millions of manufacturing jobs lost or sent overseas, households that cannot make ends meet, reduced business investment, and the shutdown of coal mines. Coal is a very essential ingredient for our economic well-being. And really, again, that sums up the disadvantage we brought up against their case. Now let's talk quickly about the openers that, actually the opener Dan used. He talked about how we have to have the solution for emissions and how nuclear is the only solution for emissions. Now what my partner really talked about, and the burden of the negative team, is to negate our actual case. Now, them bringing up a nuclear solution, we agree. We don't mind if nuclear power comes in. The market's open for it. We have no problem with nuclear power. Nowhere in our case that we have a problem with nuclear power. We're not perpetuating coal. We are regulating it. We're not investing in coal. We are regulating it. We're leaving the market open for a clean energy source. They're really not negating our actual case when it comes down to it. You can have multiple solutions, as we already do on the environment. We have many bills on it. We have multiple solutions. We have multiple energy sources. There's nothing wrong with having multiple ones, and right now it would devastate our economy to completely ban coal. Now let's get on the flow specifically. First of all, with the issue of, in today's debate round, I think we can all agree you will be weighing, all we want you to see is that you will also be weighing against sheer numbers of saving lives is quality of life. Is that you would make a policy to ban all vending machines, because vending machines fall on people every year. 8 people die from a vending machine falling upon them. You could ban that and save lives, and you'd be the policy that saves the most lives in that debate round, but that wouldn't really affect our quality of life. We weigh quality of life when we weigh issues. So having electricity, having a reliable energy source comes in weighing today's debate round. Now let's move on to the issue of the disadvantage of water. Now, Dan had a few responses. First of all, on the Lisa Jackson issue that the EPA is taking care of it. He said that she's going too fast and her regulations are going to be bad. And nowhere in the evidence did it say that she was just skipping actually thinking about it. All it said is that it was so important to her that she wanted to speed up the 3-year process. That they were studying it now. She said, no guys, this is a huge issue. She's speeding up the process. So you can be secure. We're all comfortable with talking about the future. They're comfortable with talking about something that's going to happen in 10 years. I'm comfortable with talking about something that's going to happen in 3 years, that the EPA is already on. Now, this next issue was that there's no increase in wastewater. First of all, they give you no example, hold them to their own burden of proof. They gave you no example of where a plant put on regulations and it increased wastewater. There has to be an increase in wastewater for that to be a disadvantage. Finally, on particulates, their evidence was, I have a few responses. First of all, that their evidence was anecdotal. Hold them to their own standards. All coal plants are different. They haven't shown you that it's a systemic problem. Second of all, you're weighing cancer risk. It is a risk. These are risk numbers. Weigh risk versus certain death. Death is happening now from particulate matter. You heard risk. You didn't hear any numbers. You can compare that to a Harvard study, solid 22,000 lives. So again, we are weighing. The next point is that the status quo is another issue. The EPA is working on it. Water problem, yes, it's a problem we need to be solved. People should be drinking clean drinking water. We are solving a problem in the air. The fact that there is another problem that other people need to be working on is really a debate for another round, but you have to weigh. You can for sure save 22,000 lives. You have nothing bigger than that they have brought up in today's debate round. It's another issue that will be fixed by other people in the status quo. Now, next, moving on to the to coal mining. Essentially, there was no analysis on how much particulate pollution this caused, so you still have the 22,000 solid analysis. Second of all, there will still be coal mines in both an affirmative and a negative world. It's really non-unique. On the global warming issue, actually, they've read you no evidence that nuclear power actually doesn't cause global warming, which it does, and we can read evidence if they actually challenge that point. Global warming is caused by nuclear power. Lastly, on the issue of economic growth, he said it would help our economy to invest in economic growth. This was theory. Compare theory to laying off 6.8 million people. You are laying those people off that depend on coal. Now, that's going to come in important with the solvency issue. She completely dropped 2 solvency points. First solvency point that she dropped is that there isn't enough time. They did not respond to, we won't have coal. We won't have this power for 15 years, so we won't have an electricity system. Second of all, we don't know if we can even make the amount we need. My partner had that solvency point. We cannot make the hundreds of reactors. She completely dropped those 2 points. Those 2 points alone knocked down the counterplan. Lastly, on the advocacy, our advocacy had several warrants that's really, they didn't back up that claim. Our entire 1AC was full of warrants for our case.
Thank you.